other picture here is the president of of the federal parliament. We are here in a meeting with different organizations, Chinese and Swiss one meeting at swissnex to talk about the expo, and we have our new ambassador up there having dinner in a great Chinese restaurant in Shanghai. And last but not least, we have our future, our children, where we really also put the focus to raise the interest for science and technology already in children. So what do we do concretely? In terms of cooperation, I mentioned it already, it's the Sino-Swiss Science and Technology Corporation program. We do manage some R&D projects in water treatment. They're actually pretty successful. We are working on the selection of Chinese students coming to Switzerland. There are some rather complex processes before Chinese students can come to Switzerland. We would like to try to make this a little bit easier. As far as knowledge goes, I mean, particularly for Swiss universities, they know a lot about the United States, they know a lot about Europe. But when it comes to China, there is some lack of information and knowledge about how science and technology, also higher education, works in China. We'd like to help there as well. We have information on our website. We are right now sending out a trial version for a database where the information about the 38 best universities in China is compiled, just to make the access to the information easier. But network, obviously, I said it is about people, is very important as well, and I pointed out here now a few of our Chinese partners who are also sitting here in this room. I think it is very important to collaborate here with different organizations on both sides, with Swiss ones and the ones from China. As far as the promotion goes, we will participate again in the Shanghai Science Festival, organized by the Shanghai Association for Science and Technology. We would like to go on a roadshow with the Swiss universities to China. We were just discussing this afternoon. Thank you very much for your input. And obviously it's all about the expo nowadays. And also towards the expo, we would like to use the opportunity to exchange best practices in the 4 domains: water, air, construction and mobility. And we did choose these issues because these are the 4 issues being presented at the Swiss Pavilion at the Expo next year. And I think it makes sense if Chinese and the Swiss scientists and students can sit together and discuss these issues, which actually are under the motto of Better City and Better Lives of this Expo in Shanghai. I mentioned a few times this Sino-Swiss Science and Technology Corporation. This is, as I said, a research program financed by the Chinese and Swiss government. Switzerland puts in almost 9 million Swiss francs, and the Chinese government has agreed to put in the same amount of money over the next 4 years, which I think is great. I said it already, the leading house is the ETH in Zurich. The Chinese partners for this first round were so far the Ministry of Science and Technology and the Chinese Academy of Sciences. We are now discussing further collaboration with the Ministry of Education and the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. There are 4 funding instruments, 4 domains where we would like to be active. It's the joint research projects. We just finished the call and the project selection there. But we would also like to foster institutional partnership where institutions work together. Then last but not least, also the exchange of students and of faculty. Yes, what are the next steps? It's the planning and the start of the jointly selected projects. I'm sorry, but there is one. No, yeah. Sorry. So there are 4 priority areas. I mean, when we started the discussion between the 2 governments, it was clear that we have to find domains which are of interest to both countries. And we came up here with the life sciences, the material sciences, the environmental sciences and medicine, and I guess it's more or less obvious why we chose these 4 domains. But as I said, we also like to introduce a bit more social sciences and humanities, if possible, if we find partners. In this first round, there were 76 applications. You can see where they came from. And at the very end, after a really tough selection process, we have now 11 projects that are financed by CAS and the Swiss government, and 9 projects by MOS and the Swiss governments. Not selected were all the projects that were rejected by one or the other country, and it's still unclear what happens to 5 projects which were chosen but don't have the resources yet. We're still in discussion about these projects. So these projects, they will start doing the research within the next few months. We are really now in the phase of setting up the rules and the contracts between the partners involved. We're trying to find additional funding for this program because we obviously have more interest and more applications than money, and there where we really have good programs, we would like actually to finance them. We have to evaluate what we've done so far, and we have to plan the next calls for exchange programs and institutional partnerships. So maybe just in short, as far as research programs go, that was it. There was one single call. There will only be more research projects financed if we can find additional funding. For the exchange programs and for institutional partnership, there will calls follow. You will find more information on the website of ETH Zurich. Let's come back to what we can offer a part of coordinating the China part of this program. We have to offer networks into the universities, the business and the industry. Now so far mainly on the Swiss side or the Swiss industry in China, but we're also working on the network with our Chinese partners and friends. The matchmaking is very important, that we actually, when we have a project in Switzerland asking us, well, could you actually find us a partner in China, this is also part of our business. We really do survey the scene in China, and if we can find a partner, sometimes it's also the case that we see an option in China and we mail that back to Switzerland. There is really an interesting program going on. You should actually look into this. We also do manage projects which are financed by third parties. We now just got the mandate to organize the scientific program about the Einstein exhibition, which will travel to China next fall until 2011. And obviously we do fact-finding missions, we do receive delegations, and we do also do studies and reports. Now to the cooperation between the China Association for Students, the Chinese Association for Students and Scholars in Zurich, and swissnex. I mean, my main wish is be our ambassadors. Talk about your experiences in Switzerland to your Chinese friends, peers, to your family, and be honest. I mean, talk about what wasn't that great, but I hope at the end of the day you had a very good stay and an interesting time in Switzerland. If I in China talk about Switzerland, obviously I will say it is a good country and I like it, but I think you're much more credible than I am to the Chinese people, because you are Chinese as well, you know both countries, and it's probably a more honest picture that you can paint than I might do. Do look out for us, for opportunities and talents. If you see a project somewhere, if you realize there is really something that could be interesting to Switzerland, or you're working on a research project,